Happy Resurrection Sunday, you guys. Happy Resurrection Sunday. I thank you guys for tuning in. You guys did not have to, because I know we all probably just came from church. Hi, Keitha. I hope I'm saying your name right. Hi. Thank you for the compliment. I know we probably all just came. We probably all figure out. Sorry, I just was receiving a phone call. We're probably trying to go home and go to bed or eat or whatnot, but I had to share this testimony on today. Today is April 17, 2022, and this is the day, y'all. If I start crying, y'all cry with me, because it's real. Like, God's love is real. God's mercy is so real. God's grace is real. His unconditional love is real. What he did on the first day, when he died for our sins, when he took the charge, when he understood the assignment, like, I'm gonna take this sacrifice, I'm gonna shed blood, I'm gonna come here on earth to feel what these people feel, to take on that feeling, to take on that depression, everything that you may have ever endured. He decided to take that on upon himself and die on that cross and raise up and get up on the third day for you, for me, imperfect. All that to say this. So today's April 17th, 2022, and this day, 10 years ago, is when I'm not even gonna say me, because even in my flesh I still fought, but is when God led me to my church home now, Embassy Church of South Florida, 10 years ago on a Tuesday night, and we were having a Bible study. And at that moment that I walked in, they were still doing Testimony Tuesday, and usually right after Testimony Tuesday, we dive right into Bible study. And I don't even think that day we even had a moment to go into Bible study, because when it was during testimony, I walked in. I so happened to walk in, and I just was led to give my testimony that very moment, why I came to church. And I can remember calling one of our pastors, our campus pastor, Pastor Betty Pierre, who was she was my former supervisor at the time. And I remember crying out to God and asking, what church should I go to? And he led me to that church. And I remember reaching out to her and another sister who was attending that church, what time their service started and what days were their service. And I can remember them telling me Tuesday, and I even fought, y'all. I fought to go to church that Tuesday, but I ended up going, and I ended up telling my testimony. And in that moment, I felt rescued. I felt loved. I felt like what I had just did the night before, or what I had done a couple of days ago that same week, meant nothing. I felt rescued. As I said before, I felt loved. Like, it meant nothing. It's like God embraced me and told me, don't worry about all that stuff. You're in my arms now, right? And for those of you who don't know, my name is Latricia J. Raphael. I've been married for almost 2 years now. But prior to that, it was Latricia Jackson. And with that name came a lot of stains, a lot of bruises, a lot of pain, a lot of mistakes, a lot of issues, trauma, and with that, and that is why I put that title today, because with that came with me being a whore, I'm from the streets. So with that being said, it's a hoe. And from the streets, in the streets, it is known. For those of you who have backgrounds from the streets, you can't turn a hoe into a housewife or a wife, and I got myself into a place where I had slept around so much. I slept around. Hey, Shanteria. Okay, we're going to talk later, sis. I got myself to a place where I didn't care to sleep around. I didn't care to do me. I did not care. First of all, my mindset was, my mindset was, oh my gosh, see, that's how you know God has renewed your mind, because I can't even remember how my mindset was. But basically my mindset was, two could play that game. And so I was in such a painful place, where guys mistreated me, guys did me wrong, or whatnot the case may be. So you know that saying, they say you hurt people, hurt people. And so men were hurting me, so I started to hurt men. That was my mindset. You know, two could play that game. If you could do it, I could do it too. And I didn't care. I was out here running ruthless, reckless. I did not care. And I got to a place, thank God for rescuing me. But even in the church, I still kind of had, I'm not going to say I still kind of had that. Yes, I'm going to say that. I still kind of had that mindset, not sleeping around, but I still had that mindset of doing what I want to do. I was unfaithful. A thing about a whore is she's not just a prostitute, but she carries that unfaithful mindset. She's unworthy. She has idolatrous desires. Not just she, but he too. Being a prostitute, being a whore has no gender. You just out here. You out here doing things that you ain't got no business doing. And it's not just sexual encounters, but you entertaining things that you have no business entertaining. And that's the type of person I was. I was unfaithful to God. And every time I was unfaithful, of course, I felt condemned. I felt shamed. I felt guilty. And of course, that's how the devil wants us to think, right? But his resurrection is today. And we experience this place of resurrection every single year, annually. But then today I had a different encounter. Celebrating Christ's resurrection shouldn't just be a specific day, but it should be, if you are a believer, it should be every single day. His resurrection power should be displayed in your life. And how does that look? How does that look? That looks like resisting the enemy every time he presents himself. And how does he present himself? Through our thoughts, through our feelings, through our emotions, through our actions, whatever it may be that causes you to compromise your relationship, that causes you to compromise the sacrifices he made for you, that causes you to listen to your flesh and not put it under subjection, not put it under the subjection of what? His resurrection power, right? So here I am. I rededicated my life 10 years ago, but there's still a struggle. There's still thoughts. There's still images. There's still actions that I compromised with, that I compromised for. And I totally forgot. I didn't forget, but I chose to forget about his resurrection. I chose to forget those lashes he took for me. I chose to forget what he had done for me on the cross. I chose to forget that. And that's not fair. That's what made me unfaithful. That's what made me unworthy. But today I reminded myself, today I'm reminded, and today I remind you that his death was worth your life, and his resurrection was worth your life. And what do I mean by that is because I had to convince myself that his death was worth my life, his resurrection was worth my life. Because sometimes sin will put you in a place of depression, of oppression, to the point of torment, to the point of trauma, to make you feel like there's no coming back from this. There's no... I'm sorry, y'all. I was in an area where the signal was off or whatnot. I was in a place where there was no coming back. At least that's how I felt. I was in a place where I felt like I had compromised too much, and God didn't find me fit anymore. I even put myself in a position and lied to myself that I wasn't worth being a wife, that I wasn't worth being used in God's kingdom, that I wasn't worth being used as a mouthpiece, as a voice to this generation, as a voice to a people. That's how I felt. But today I'm here to remind you. I'm here to remind you. I'm still living to remind you that his death was worth your life. His resurrection was worth your life. His death was worth your peace. His resurrection was worth your peace. His death was worth you living a whole new life. His resurrection was worth you living a whole new life. And I'm just here to remind you that you're worth what God is doing. You're worth what God wants to do. You're worth it.